10864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon.
With 2 seconds on the clock. He hits it!
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it. The Ducks have won.
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
The Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Catch made. Touchdown, Oregon.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
It's a Friday. Jorgie is in the Country Financial Studio.
Great to be here. It is so good to be
being
here.
back.
I know.
Oh,
It
this
so
is
good.
great.
This is so good.
I sat with Jorgie and Jerry in the booth for the first scrimmage on Saturday, and I kind of looked around as you guys made your way up there. I was actually doing inventory, so it looked like a tornado went through the booth. And Jerry and Jorgie walked in, and I just thought, oh, it's football season.
Oh, me too. When I walked in that door, it's like all is good.
Yeah.
All is right.
Yeah. Doing that again tomorrow. The Ducks will scrimmage tomorrow, so that's why I asked Jorgie to come on today. We're going to talk about that. I've got a lot of hard-hitting things to get to, though, and I want to warn everybody. Jorgie asked me, because he's the most prepared member of the broadcast crew, and it's not close. I'm serious about that, by the way. Jorgie asked me yesterday, so anything in particular you want to focus on, or just sort of cover everything in 10 minutes? And I said, yeah, that. Just cover everything in 10 minutes. So I did not give Jorgie any of the questions that I'm going to ask him ahead of time. I'm going to start today, though, with not scrimmage number 2, not what you've seen at practice so far. We'll get to that. But this is going to be the most important question that I asked Jorgie, and I asked Jerry it last week. I don't know if you heard.
What did I do this summer?
No, I was going to ask you that too, but that's coming later.
Right.
But let's just get this out of the way, because Friday is usually when everybody needs to take their headache medicine, because we're doing picks and
That's right.
Well, this is the last year of picks as they can currently be.
Yeah.
They've been Pac-12 picks forever, right?
Yeah.
So I just need to know, if you win or if I win this year, are we forever the Pac-12 picks champion? We can never be dethroned, because next year we'll be doing Big Ten picks.
Well, I mean, are we talking all time or just the year 2023?
I mean,
the final year,
you can never be knocked off the podium, because there won't be another Pac-12 picks in its current form.
Yeah. So what did you call it? The what?
I called it the Pac-12 picks, and then it's going to become the Big Ten picks.
Yeah, but if you win this year, did you call it the all-time? Is that what you said?
No, just you're forever the champion.
Oh, okay, forever the champion. Yeah, but that would be like a team. That'd be like Arizona winning the Pac-12 this year.
Yeah.
And because they win the last one, they're forever.
I mean, they are forever the reigning champion by grammatic definition.
No, I don't think
Everyone in the studio is looking at me like, wow, that's actually
No. I don't think it is. No, it's just the 2023 champion. It should be as simple as that. Don't overcomplicate it.
Okay. All right. Well, I tend to do that.
Yeah. Well, I won last year.
You did.
So I'm wanting to be the back-to-back champ is what I'm wanting to do.
Yeah.
So I just want to be called that.
We haven't had a back-to-back champ in a while, actually. I know you like the numbers. Do you want some of the numbers from
just
picks?
if you would remind everybody.
The last time that we had a back-to-back champ, so Jorgie won in 22, Jerry won in 21. 20 was we all tied. It was terrible. 2019 the champion was me. 2018, the champion was Jorgie. 2017, we're getting back in time now, it was Jerry. 2016, me. 2015,
how about this?
Me.
Oh, there's the back-to-back right there.
Yeah, 14 was Jerry. So the last time we had a back-to-back champ was me. I won 3 out of 4, and I've not won one since then. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be fun this year. It's always. I mean, I love doing this.
I think this year, this is, in all seriousness, I joke about the picks, but we are going to make some picks coming up over the next few weeks. It's one of our favorite segments, and we obviously have some fun with it. But, Jorgie, it is kind of a fun year, I think, in the Pac-12. I know there's going to be a lot of nostalgia because it's the last one, but this league's going to be good. I think picks are going to be tough to make this year.
It is. I mean, this year's the league schedule, the teams that are in it, and that type of deal. I mean, it is amazing. It's funny, Joe. I had a chance to talk to a Rotary group this morning.
Oh, nice.
And it was fun because it was talking about teams potentially in the Pac-12 championship with a couple of losses. And it could happen because you've got that strong of an upper half in particular of the league with, USC and Washington and Oregon and Utah and Oregon State and UCLA and who plays who and who misses who and all the different scenarios that go with it. You could have two teams easily with two losses in the Pac-12 championship game and tiebreakers taking place. So it's that good. And it's going to be fun. That's what makes it fun.
I'm looking forward to the final iteration. Now, okay, we haven't heard from you. At least I haven't heard from you. I don't know if you've done any radio interviews about this, but the move to the Big Ten, Jorgie, it is a big deal.
It is. And a lot of people, again, this morning, that group I spoke to and people I've spoken to over time are, they're disappointed because a lot of them, they think back of the history of the Pac-12, Pac-10, and Pac-8, which I was never part of. A lot of people weren't a part of. A lot of people were part of the 10s and the 12s, but those that were part of the Pac-8, and they remember the histories of going back to when USC was the complete king of the league for the most part. Every once in a while, UCLA, every once in a while, Washington, somebody else to sneak in there. But that's where the history all started of this particular league. And then over time, obviously, Oregon's become the king at times, Utah the last couple of years. And all that goes away, it feels like. And, not from the memory banks, but all of a sudden, as Oregon joins the Big Ten, and I joked about it this morning, Big Ten with 18 teams, Big 12 with 16 teams. What about the naming of those? But
I don't understand
you still got 4 teams on the West Coast, and hopefully Oregon State continue their rivalry series game so that takes place. We'll see what happens with that. But, I'm excited. To be honest with you, I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm disappointed to see some of the things that are taking place, and those teams that get left behind, and where are they going to end up?
Yeah, I agree.
That's the biggest thing.
I agree. I think it's tough as a lifetime West Coaster. This is the conference that I grew up watching, and so I agree with you. I love that everyone I feel like sort of has those same feelings, of there is excitement for Oregon, but you're disappointed that the West Coast is changing, and it's just kind of where college football is heading, and as a result, all of college athletics heading that way. I'm looking forward to it, and I have to say, this is great because Tobias said exactly what I was going to ask you already. Listen to this.
Who am I never going to pick again? Oh.
No,
I'll never pick him again.
Never pick him again.
I can't. Who am I going to do that with now?
For the next few years? I don't know.
Rutgers?
Washington?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Never pick him again. I'll never pick him again.
There, you were ready on that.
He was ready.
Scott was ready. Tobias says Jorgie is going to be so happy in capital letters in the Big Ten because those teams love to run the ball.
Yeah, that's right.
They do love to run the ball.
You have to run the ball.
Is the football actually that different, like from conference to conference?
I mean, what they've been known as over time, the Big Ten Conference is having those bruiser, Wisconsin, Iowa types of deals. But, Ohio State and some of the others have bucked the trend the last few years. And so, it is interesting. The very first game I did as a broadcaster was at Iowa.
Right.
So now here we are going back and into the league at least, and it'll be interesting when we make that return trip to Iowa. But, yeah, that's right. You have to run the ball. The trenches, man. And I can't call people big uglies anymore because that sounded like that maybe offended some people on some of the interviews you had preseason. So
that's what I asked.
Yeah,
I know you did. I mean, I thought it was a fair question to some of the O-linemen. I don't know if you remember, but I asked Jake Hansen that on the coach's show, and he just looked at me like, I've never thought about that before, like it was just sort of a thing in football, but
just big guys.
Yeah, big guys. Yeah, I loved that definition of the big guys.
Yeah, me too.
And then the phrase, just in case you're wondering what Jorgie's talking about, from some of our media day interviews, they like to be called dense, Jorgie.
Oh, okay.
Dense offensive
Jerry used
lineman.
to call them thick.
Yeah,
I thought that was a bad description.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, look. They are dense human beings, They're much denser
How about
than
just
I
call
am.
them solid?
They are solid.
Big, solid guys.
They are solid.
Not thick.
Yeah. That was good. Also, this is good from Rick. Didn't Oregon win the first Pac-12 championship? Yes, and it was played at Autzen Stadium. It would be great to win the last Pac-12 championship.
Sure
Oregon could be the bookends of the league. Yeah, I have mixed emotions on it. I'm definitely going to try my best to treasure some of the trips this year in all sports, in football, men's basketball, and baseball for me. I think everybody kind of feels that way. But it is excitement. Now, in the meantime, in the short term, scrimmage number 2 tomorrow, Georgie. I've often thought that the development and the improvement that coaches are looking for from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2 in fall camp is akin to a freshman to sophomore individual year jump.
Yeah.
You kind of want to see big development between scrimmage 1 and scrimmage 2, right?
Yeah, so you can narrow down who are going to be your top 33 or 44, whatever the number is the coaches are looking for. So, yeah, I think that jump from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2, game 1 to game 2 oftentimes, or game 2 to game 3 when the regular season starts is really important. But it is going to be, and sometimes it's tough to tell when you're trying to do some things offensively and you want the defensive line to contain but not necessarily take the quarterback out or disrupt the play. You want the play to be able to continue on to the end so you can see that everybody does their job responsibility. So sometimes during the scrimmages, they're maybe telling people to hold back a little bit, but at the same time, there's a lot of guys out there playing hard right now for a position. They want to be able to show that they're playing hard. And so from 1 to 2, that's where you want to see, because you got all those practices in between. That's where the young guys can catch on to a few more reps, and reps are really what dictates the advancement of players over time. Game reps and practice reps.
Yeah, so this Saturday.
Can't wait.
Yeah, you and I will be there. We'll be watching, and we'll have Coach Lanning talking afterwards. It's also family weekend for Oregon football, which is a weekend that they all look forward to. Scrimmage 2, where are your eyes going to go? What are you looking for? Talking about development from scrimmage 1, scrimmage 2, what are you looking for?
I'm still looking in the trenches. I really do. I just think it's so important for this team, the success on both sides of the ball. You got a pretty new unit offensively on that side of the ball. Not that they're not that they're completely inexperienced, because they've played downs, but they haven't played as a cohesive group. And when you've been so used to the group that had been there previously with Forsyth and Walk and everybody else that was along the offensive line, they played a ton of snaps together, and game snaps in particular. This group hasn't. So I want to see them make the next big jump forward and get into rhythm with each other, because, Portland State, you might be able to get away with it. Then you go to Lubbock to play Texas Tech, and you better be on all cylinders for that game. And last year, Oregon's defense, 18 sacks in 13 games. You got to have more. You got to be able to be a lot more creative with Jordan Birch and Dorless coming back, and Popo and some of the other guys are going to be part of that defensive line. But to me, it always begins in the trenches, because those guys make everybody else better behind them. And so I'm going to be focusing in on that an awful lot.
The D-line was certainly banged up last year. I mean, I think about guys like Popo, Taki Taimani, just to name a couple, and now there's a lot of depth, and I think a lot of excitement as a result. It was interesting for me hearing them all talk about what it's like to be a veteran, Georgie. I mean, that is a veteran group on the D-line, maybe one of the deeper groups now if they can all stay healthy on this team.
It is. I mean, Casey Rogers, you look at some of the I don't want to say age, but the experience of these guys, having played 3, 4, 5 years of college football, some of them all right here at Oregon, and that's what makes it so important. So they've been around each other. They know each other well. Now there's depth at that position too, and you start sprinkling in other guys like Ben Roberts and some of those guys. You've got a lot of defensive linemen outside, inside, to be able to do a lot of different things with. And but again, pressure on the quarterback, hopefully without having to bring extra linebackers, DBs, or whatever that put DBs on islands is what your goal is. And I think that group's got the potential just based on the high talent level that they have.
Going backwards, I guess, in the defense, Georgie. Now, linebacker, I feel like there's a lot of guys that have moved up from the defensive back position. I mean, you think about a guy like Jamal Hill. Of course, we've seen what Jeffrey Boss has done after his transition to linebacker a few years ago. Linebackers look a lot better when the D-line does what they're doing. It all starts there.
Yeah, I mean, anytime the 5 offensive linemen anytime the 4 defensive linemen can occupy all 5, it allows those linebackers to free flow without people diving at their legs or being able to get to them in the upper body piece of it. And we got guys like Bossa and Justin Jacobs and Devin Jackson and Solie and some of the others at that linebacker position. It just takes a lot of pressure off of them, whether you're a 240-pound linebacker that's very physical or a 215-pound that's speedy. You want guys off of you so you can scrape, you can move, you can make plays and use that athletic ability. So that's the importance of those guys being good in the trenches. You want somebody to really stand out where they have to be double teamed, then everybody else is one-on-one, and it frees those guys up. So, yeah, each layer benefits from that defensive line playing well.
Talking about layers, I mean, I'm just going to go position by position now in the defensive backfield. I've talked a lot, Jorgie, this year about how there's a lot of versatility and cross-training happening with those defensive back positions. Talk about safeties, corners, the nickel star spot. That might be actually a spot that I watch here during the scrimmage. I feel like there's so many guys jockeying for playing time. You're not just going to see 5 starters out there in the defensive backfield. I mean, they're probably going to play 8, who knows, 10 guys this year. But I feel like a few of those guys, some new faces that do bring experience. You talk about an Evan Williams, a Tysheem Johnson, a Kyrie Jackson, names like that are new additions, but they have some experience in that backfield.
Yeah, you do. And any time to me, Joey, that you've brought in corners that are pretty high-level type of corners like Oregon has, it allows you to do different things with like Triquez Brizage.
Right.
You can put him at corner as a physical, long-armed, tall guy. You can put him at safety because he's played safety a little bit before. You can move some of the safeties to corners to safeties, and you can have 5 of them in there. And again, just talking about some of the different guys that are good cover guys as linebackers, whether it be a Hill, who now was a DB going to linebacker, but now all of a sudden he's a linebacker covering a tight end. It's not a mismatch anymore because really you've got a bigger DB on him. So, you can move guys around like that. I'm just really looking forward to watching guys like Evan Williams and others that can play multiple positions, play those multiple positions so you put the best 5, if you're going to be going with 5, or 4 on the field at all times based on what the matchup is.
So I haven't even asked you about offense, and I'm already 6 minutes late. Can you hang out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
If you got time.
Why? Well, you actually have a job.
Well, I got this afternoon to do what I want to do. So.
Okay.
So you just take as much time. It's just so good to be here. It's just so good to be here.
All right. Well, then Jorgie's hanging out. We do have some other post-practice interviews coming your way. Duck soccer season started last night. We have that. But I haven't even talked offense. We're going to do that with, a guy who knows more about offense than I'll ever know on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Don't miss out on summer at Toyota's National Sales Event. It's the perfect time to squeeze out the last of summer with an exciting new Tacoma, Highlander, Camry, and more.
Toyota, let's go places. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Event ends September 5th.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Don't miss out on summer at Toyota's National Sales Event. It's the perfect time to squeeze out the last of summer with an exciting new Tacoma, Highlander, Camry, and more.
Toyota, let's go places. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Event ends September 5th.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Jorgie's here. It's Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. So we were talking defense. Today we're also going to zero in on the specialist. Jorgie, you know I love a good punter.
Yeah,
it changes
we all
the
do.
game.
Yeah.
Changes the game. Also, it was a really refreshing conversation to hear from Luke Basso, guy who grew up wanting to be a Duck so bad. Long snapper. You'll love the smile on his face. You can hear it, that he's smiling when he's doing this interview. That's all coming up. Also, Jordan Birch. We're going to talk with him and zero in as well on the D-line and the specialist. But first, some thoughts on the offense, Jorgie. We were talking during the break. I mean, the quarterback is so important. There's a few teams around the conference that are having this exact same conversation about how nice it is to have your starting quarterback back. Now, if you're the Ducks, it's awful nice to have Bo Nix back behind center.
Man, yeah. I mean, the year that he had last year, and what a step up that was for him personally, from his days at Auburn to at Oregon. And it wasn't just the performance on the field; it was the leadership qualities that also went along with it. And this team was red hot, obviously, until he got the ankle injured, and yet he toughed it out at the end of the season like he did to be able to do the things that he did. You want to see him healthy again, and he's healthy again. He's the orchestrator. He's the guy that's conducting everything back there and in total and complete charge. And everybody else, I think, on the team, not just on his offensive side of the ball, but as a team in all aspects, see the leadership qualities that he has, and I think that's the next big step that he's taken, is that piece of it. And he was good a leader in the first place, but he is in charge now.
Brought in some weapons, too, around the Troy Franklins and the Terrence Fergusons of the returner group. And I don't know about you, but in practice, I've been impressed with some of the playmakers.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tez does it every practice. He'll have one or two highlight plays. And that's what's fun about him, is he's such a threat in the screen game on the outside, let alone anytime you get the ball in his hands in open field, and even if it's in the return game from a special team standpoint. But, when you bring in guys like Holden and Bryant and others to join in with Hudson and Franklin, and there may be, who knows, a surprise or two that you end up seeing making some plays, Casper in certain downs and distances. It's a really talented wide receiver group, and deep, that Bo Nix has to be able to throw to. And again, it all goes back to protection, right? He only got sacked 5 times last year. Part of that was Bo,
right?
But part of that was the offensive line, and those wide receivers benefit from that.
Yeah, and I still will never forget that the first sack came, more than halfway through the year, and it was like he scrambled to his right and lost half a yard.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Remember that was against Stanford,
I think,
and it was the first one. But the O-line, I think, is a real key. I mean, we talked about the D-line being healthy. There's a lot of potential there with the experience. The O-line's got guys that have been around, some additional transfers too, but guys that have been around and have seen a few things, even though they haven't been the stereotypical starters on the O-line.
Yeah, I mean, you guys like, I sit there and think about Jackson Powers Johnson and the football that he's played not only last year but the year before, where he had to kind of plug in here or there and play in some really important games and downs and that type of deal. And, Marcus Harper last year and some of the transfers that have come in. And, I'm not going to cover every single one of them, but, I think they've got a good Stephen Jones, obviously, who's played a lot of football, but it's about playing football together now. And I think when you see this team after 3 or 4 games after they've played a lot of football together, it's really going to get just that much better.
You know what helps an offensive line too is a dynamic running back, and the Ducks have a couple of those guys back. I really like Carlos Lachlan got asked about Jordan James' progression this year, right? So you talk about the number 3 guy really on that depth chart last year, used in short yardage downs, and I love Carlos Lachlan's answer. He just goes, in response to a question about Jordan James, maybe having a bigger role, he goes, well, 4th down short yardage packages for a freshman, that was a pretty big role last year. The Ducks have some weapons at the running back spot.
Yeah, and that's where we would see him, obviously, sometimes in goal line type of situations too, just because of the way that the violence that he runs with and how strong he is. But, man, I'll tell you, anytime you return a 1-2 punch like Oregon does with Irving and Whittington, nationally probably one of the top duos in the country. There's maybe only a couple of others that you can match up with that. They're both good runners, very elusive. They run hard. They run bigger than they are, and yet they're great out of the backfield as receivers too. And so anytime you have that type of thing, you're not having to bring in a pass down back that teams know that he's probably going to get the ball. They could get it on first or second down when you think it's going to be a rundown, and they throw a little swing pass to those guys to get them out in space. They're really, really good, talented players that can do a lot of different things. And I think, again, anytime you're a quarterback and you have those things at your disposal, it's great.
I'm curious to see what the Ducks do at the tight end spot. Drew Maringer said this week that he was asked about using different tight ends and using multiple tight ends, and he said, look, any good play caller is going to put the best 11 on the field to make a play. Sometimes that involves 2 tight ends. Sometimes it may involve no tight ends. But I think that there are some weapons and a lot of potential in the tight end room. I'm just curious to see what the Ducks do with that position.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see what they do, too, from a run game standpoint when the tight ends become a big part of that. I mean, instead of bringing in a jumbo elephant package where you've got 8 offensive linemen, you still want that threat to be able to throw the ball at any time. And so, those guys, T. Ferg and Patrick Herbert in particular have improved not only as receivers but as run blockers, which is such an important part of that offense. So you could do some tricky little things with them, put them in a 2-point stance, put them in as an H-back, and yet still have them be a run block type of deal. And guys like Kenyon Sadiq and some others that are athletically gifted as they begin to grow physically and into this offense become that much more of a danger to defenses to have to defend from a linebacker standpoint. So I like the group. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. Hard-hitting question now. What'd you do over the summer? Anything fun?
Oh, boy. I'll tell you what, just tried to spend as much time outdoors as possible. And, the final 2 weeks up in McCall, Idaho, I couldn't beat it. You guys get some videos that I was kind of having a little bit of fun with. The waves coming in on the beach at the lake.
I just have to tell everybody, I contemplated putting the video in the show.
Oh,
I almost did. I almost did. But let me just describe it for you. It was a really nice swan dive from Jorgie. I think.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. I think Jerry gave you like a solid 9 out of 10 on your dive form. You had a lot of splash.
I only got an 8, and that's what I was trying to do. You only give me an 8.5.
I did, yeah. I thought 8.5. The splash was big, In diving, you want like the tiniest little splash. In all seriousness, when you watch like Olympic diving, the splashes are like it doesn't make sense to me. They're so small.
Yeah.
But you didn't cannonball. It was a nice swan dive.
Right, yeah. It was a can opener. Actually, we called it a banana. That's what I used to do in the old days when I was a young kid at the Ontario Municipal Pool.
Oh, okay.
Banana off the high dive. Yeah.
Huh. I learned so many things.
That was a banana.
When we have Jorgie on.
Yeah.
Jorgie, I think a lot of people are excited for this season. I think the Pac-12 is going to be a lot of fun. For me, I come back to what you said before. Like, this could be a league that beats itself up a little bit. What do you think for Oregon? What are the keys to a successful season to rise to the top of a league that might beat itself up?
Health.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll put that at the top.
We saw health again.
We saw it. We saw it last year. I mean, health. Got to get some breaks here and there, but at the same time, just play good, solid, sound football. Win the turnover battle. Be good at the line of scrimmage from a standpoint of protecting the quarterback and putting pressure on the quarterback. I know that's a lot of things right there, but health at the QB, have some balls bounce your way a little bit, and then just the trenches have got to be really solid. And, you always want the penalties to be low, but if you win the turnover battle, most of the time you're going to win 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 of the games. And Oregon was pretty good last year, too.
Yeah, Oregon was top 20 nationally in turnover margin last year. So
take care of the ball.
It's going to be a big deal. Hey, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, great to be here.
Yeah, we'll see you next Tuesday.
See you tomorrow. Yeah,
and
see you next Tuesday, too.
Yeah, tomorrow I'll see him. Tuesday you'll all see him.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Tuesday is our preseason special, 7 o'clock on the Oregon football social media channels, across the Oregon Sports Network as well. Kind of the greatest hits of fall camp. We'll, at that point, have heard from both of the coordinators, actually, heading into that show. We'll have a lot from those interviews for you. Jerry will be with us, and we'll have some fun. And then the coaches' show is back in 2 weeks. Wednesday, what is that, the 30th? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
30th?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Wednesday the 30th. The first Wednesday, every Wednesday before every game, we will have the coaches' show with Dan Lanning. Looking forward to it here in the studio. Thanks, Jorgie.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, good to be here.
You make Friday fun. Jerry doesn't.
No, he does. Well, I'll give him a little bit of credit, but not too much.
He's Mike Jorgensen, going into year 33. Is that right? I think it's 34.
Well, yeah. I mean, I did only 3 or 4 games in '89, so
yeah.
If I count 90 here, let me do that real quick. 90, 91. 92,
well, I updated
94,
your bio on GoDucks.com.
Okay.
Let's see here. I'm gonna figure this out.
Okay.
According to the official record book,
if you count 90,
yeah,
would it be 34?
I think so.
Okay.
I've got you, Jerry, in his 37th season.
Oh, wow.
And you'll be in your 34th season.
I'm going to have to change that next time I speak to a group. I told them 33 this morning. So
I think it's 34. That's what I've got on the bio.
If you count 90, you're right.
Yeah. I do.
Okay, thank you.
I do. All right, we're going to get time out. When we come back, let's hear a little bit from Jordan Birch, talking with one of the new defensive line additions for the Ducks on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. He sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself.
For many military veteran caregivers, their caregiving journey starts earlier in life and lasts longer. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Uh-oh. Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Thanks again to Mike Jorgensen for joining us. Earlier this week, Jordan Birch met with the media, a guy that I think a lot of people, myself included, are excited about. He's got all the physical tools to be a real weapon for the Ducks, especially rushing the quarterback, as Jorgie was alluding to as a key to this season. Jordan Birch talking with the media this week.
I've heard a lot of guys coming in, not just freshmen, got transfers like yourself, talking about how complicated this defense is, how hard it is at times to learn. All right, you've been here for a little while now. Where are you in that learning process? How difficult is it compared to where you were at before?
Yeah, starting off, it was a little difficult, trying to put all the plays together, learn the whole playbook. But I feel like now since camp started, everything's coming together. You can kind of group plays together just so you can remember them.
Where do you feel your natural position is? Do you like the 4-I-5 kind of spot? Do you like 6, 7, or wide 9? Like where do you prefer if you can do all of them?
I really don't have I don't really prefer anything to help our defense, but on the edge is what I'm really used to. So anything I can help the team out.
Jordan, are you familiar with the Freaks List at all? Do you know what that is? When I say the Freaks List,
no, what's that?
The Athletic puts out a thing every year where they talk about the 100 most, physically capable, physical anomalies. You were named the number 4 biggest freak in the nation this year. Does that mean anything to you? Does it surprise you to hear me say that?
No, it doesn't really mean anything to me, but I guess that's good to know.
What are some of those weightlifting numbers in particular? Like, it's the story listed, but confirm it for us. Like, what are you squatting? What are you benching? What are you sumo lifting?
Squat would probably be around close to 600, and then bench would be 375, something like that. Coach loves getting everybody right, so he's getting me stronger in the weight room.
And deadlift?
Yeah. I think my deadlift might have been 600.
The story also mentioned Brandon Dorless and Devin Jackson. Do you think there's any other guys on the roster that you think should be mentioned in that category?
There's a lot of players on the team, with great abilities, from sideline to sideline. I really can't think of any right now, but there's a lot of guys on the team that should be on the list.
You hit anybody with the spin move yet?
No, not yet. I'm saving it.
A lot of former SEC tacklers you face talked about how difficult that was, and obviously you can watch the tape and see how you did it. When did you first break that out? When did you first have the confidence to break that out in a game against that kind of opponent?
I believe last year around, mid-season, it was something I was working on, and I was like, this will work just based on how the tackle's set. So it really just came into my arsenal when I'm pass rushing.
Is that your favorite, or are you more bull rush or power move? Like what's your favorite move?
I don't really have a favorite move. It's just whatever, the tackle sets, whatever he gives me.
A move you've seen maybe a teammate make on your side that's maybe you want to steal?
Probably Mateo. He has some nice moves in his arsenal too. He has a little cross chop. That's probably one of my favorite moves of his.
What's it been like working next to Brandon and just kind of being able to feed off of each other and maybe one of you frees up the other one to have a little bit more pressure on the line?
Yeah, he's a great athlete. He's always, helping me out if I don't know, the play call or anything like that. But just having him around, he's very experienced in the defense and just a great player. So just, learning techniques from him. He's just a great guy to have with you when you're lining up on the D-line.
You guys, Zach Pickens called you his twin at a defensive end.
Yeah.
What makes you his twin? For a guy who was a really productive defensive tackle, what makes you that?
We just did everything together. Most people, when they saw us out, we were, right next to each other. So, and he's taught me a lot as a player and then as a person. So that's really where the name came.
He was also a guy who mentioned, and guys here have talked about, coaches talked about that. If you could put it together, if you knew how good you could be, like where the ceiling was, how do you start to gain that confidence when there are teammates, friends of yours, coaches who are trying to tell you, like, you are that good, guys will listen to you as a freak at that level? How do you build that confidence? If that's not something that naturally just is there, how do you go about building that up in yourself?
Like building confidence?
Yeah, to where you are that dude.
Yeah, just going through it every day, trying to get better each day. If somebody tells you that, it should sit in your head, but it shouldn't be something you think about all the time because, you're trying to, get better every day. That's really how I go through it. And that kind of builds my confidence.
Since the time you stepped on campus, just what area do you feel like you've really grown the most?
Probably, I guess since I'm new here, learning new things. So, I guess you can say any part of life, my area around, plays, anything like that, I think I'm catching on pretty good to, being able to adapt to the environment.
When someone says learning the playbook or I'm getting the playbook down, how would you describe that? Because is it literally just opening up a book and looking at the plays, or what's the process like for you?
Technically, yeah. You open up a book and you look at your plays, but it takes a lot of time studying, writing out what's your game plan or what you're going to do in certain situations, and then just watching film. So put all those together, and then you'll have a kind of good idea of what you need to do.
How much time do you feel like you've invested into that this offseason?
I couldn't tell you an exact number, but here a lot and then every night for a couple of hours. So it's really.
Obviously, being recruited by Dan out of high school, you had a certain idea of him, and then being recruited by him again to come here. Now finally getting to play with him for spring and through fall camp. Is it kind of what you expected?
Yeah, he's a great head coach. You don't see too many head coaches that know a lot about, defense and can tell you how to do your own position. So he's just a great head coach to have, have around at all times.
Do you feel dropping at all in the coverage, or you just have to feel it?
I'll do a little bit of both. Anything they need me to do, I can do it.
What's your comfort level, I guess, in doing that and covering somebody, especially with your size?
I mean, it's fun. I can run, I can get under, get out and cover. So all that's good.
What this defense has been lacking in pass rush the past couple of years, including even when they had tremendous players like KT and DJ Johnson last year. With what they're going to be asking you to do, we talk about confidence and production, and you're already a productive guy in the SEC. Do you feel I want to say pressure, but an onus to deliver what this team needs in that way, in that role, in that spot?
I wouldn't say pressure, because, football really doesn't change. It's just doing what Coach asked me to do and be able to, produce on the field. That's really the main thought. really.
Fall camp can be a grind, and it can be really hard. What you're doing is not exactly easy. Just what keeps you going, through these long practices, waking up every day, studying that playbook, just what keeps you going?
Keeps me going is really my family. I can call them, talk to them. Being able to listen to them really drives me. Being able to wake up every day. That's really what it is. I don't really think too much about it. I've been doing it forever. So,
Jordan Birch, I'll tell you, if he has a good year, I think the Duck defense has a good year. When we come back, we're zeroing in on the specialist. Awesome conversation with the long snapper. Seriously, you don't want to miss this. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Don't miss out on summer at Toyota's National Sales Event. It's the perfect time to squeeze out the last of summer with an exciting new Tacoma, Highlander, Camry, and more.
Toyota, let's go places. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Event ends September 5th.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Don't miss out on summer at Toyota's National Sales Event. It's the perfect time to squeeze out the last of summer with an exciting new Tacoma, Highlander, Camry, and more.
Toyota, let's go places. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Event ends September 5th.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy. Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. We heard this week from a number of Oregon specialists. Still quite the battle for the punting position. I think Camden Lewis has a pretty good head start on the kicking competition based on his track record. And then long snapper. Carson Battle's one of the better ones we've ever seen at Oregon. Very reliable. Well, the new guy maybe stepping in for him is Luke Basso, and he was a lot of fun to get to know him this week.
As an in-state guy, when you know the deal, when you know that Carson is obviously pretty locked in, and then you know that this is setting up to be your opportunity. When it's here, what is the feeling?
It's amazing. Growing up in the state of Oregon, every kid dreams of playing for the University of Oregon, being a Duck. And for me personally, it just means a lot. I learned for 2 years being behind Karsten and having the opportunity to just get better each day. I'm excited for what's to come. It means the most to me. So I'm ready.
Can you outline how big of an Oregon fan? You said everybody in the state wants to go here, but was your family one of those families that came down to Autzen regularly, or what was kind of that support like?
So for me, when I was young, my family was actually a little bit of a Beaver family. Oh. My dad was a Duck fan, and so growing up, I kind of saw how he was a huge Duck fan, and that motivated me. So in the recruiting process, I knew that this is where I wanted to go. And so just being from Oregon and everything, all my friends were Duck fans, and it made it really special being here. So yeah.
Long snapping, when did that start for you? What's the process of recognizing that's a path you want to choose? Because it's an unorthodox one, I guess, for a lot of guys.
My sophomore year in high school, I was always a center in youth. And our varsity coach went up to me and was like, hey, we need a long snapper. We don't really have one. I want you to try and go to this camp. So I went to Rubio long snapping. and I went to camp and they like rank you and star you, and I realized that this was going to be my opportunity for college, and I fell in love with it. I practiced it all the time and kept going to more camps, and then the opportunities came, and Oregon was where I wanted to be.
It's kind of a silly question, but how, like, you need a partner probably to practice long snapping, like, or how actually, what's the process of getting better at something like that?
My dad was my partner for everything. He went to every camp with me. He caught all the footballs for me, and he's kind of what motivated me to get better. So anytime I wanted to go up to the field, he would catch for me, he'd give me feedback, we'd film. So that was kind of the person for me. Yeah.
Does he have a background in special teams or football at all, or he just do that kind of, or I don't know, what was the process of that?
So he was a receiver for Lewis and Clark College in Oregon. So yeah, so he was the whole reason why I wanted to play football to begin with.
Earlier in camp, Joe Lord was talking about how good at long snapping you are. That a lot of people don't know it. When you are that talented at something, is it kind of frustrating, or how is that like for you when a lot of fans don't know you, and maybe you are as good at what you do as Troy Franklin is at what he does, but when you don't get the recognition, is that hard to deal with sometimes?
It's not hard to deal with because that's kind of just the name of the game, As a specialist, you don't always want your name, at least for long snapper, you don't always want your name to be called, and that's just part of the job, is just going out there and executing and having fun with it, really. So I'm not worried about everyone knowing me and stuff like that. That's just part of it, and it's fun, so I love it. Yeah.
What are the things especially over an off season, what are the things you look to improve on? What, like, I'm sure execution time, sure, but like what goes into that? Like for the fan who has no idea how a long snapper improves their time, throwing it harder, like what do you do to improve that?
Just repetition, consistency, going in the mow, training with the punters every day. We would work on spirals, speed, like getting stronger in the weight room. The thing that was huge this year was we had Cody, one of our strength coach, and he worked specifically with the specialists. And just little things like that, you don't realize, but it helps with speed and it helps with strength. And not only that, but the other part of it is blocking and getting downfield. As a long snapper, most people don't realize that, but you got to go downfield and make the tackle as well, and it's an important piece that I'm looking forward to add to this year.
Carson showed you one of his highlight tackles earlier in his career.
He always did. Yeah. He loved talking about his tackles and stats. So hopefully I can add some more to that.
Joe was talking about just the operation time, and you're talking about tenths and hundredths of seconds kind of being important. Is it difficult to see the progress there when it is only a small sliver you're seeing change, or I guess how you measure progress?
It can be, so each day they time us. Right. Over time, when you're younger, for snap times they'll be like 0.8. 0.78, and then as you get older, you get better, more consistent. 0.7 is kind of what we shoot for. Lower than that, 0.68 is a good area to be in. And then you can chart that consistently, see where you're at, and then for every op time, punt op time, getting down the field, hang time, snap to kick on field goal, 1-2-5 is what we're going for. Just little things like that. It seems microscopic, but in the end of the day, it means a lot, and it matters.
Can you actually tell, like, if it's a 0.75 or a 0.69, like, out of your hand, or do you need to, like, can you feel the difference?
At this point, yeah, because I've realized, when you have a tight spiral and it's perfectly on the hip, you realize, that's going to be a 0.7, that's going to be a 0.68, but when there's a slight wobble, it might not be as fast. Just little things like that you can feel after just so much practice.
Do you have a PR you're chasing?
I don't have a PR I'm chasing, but I know that each year I just want to get faster, stronger, and better at it. So yeah.
You said that you don't always want people to know specialist names. Are there NFL long snappers that you kind of look up to and kind of try and shape your game off of and try and follow?
Yeah, there are some long snappers. I know Luke Rhodes. I believe he plays with the Colts. Is someone that I've looked at a lot. He's a great blocker. And a lot of NFL long snappers have linebacker and tight end backgrounds, and they've got great builds. They're able to get downfield and stuff like that, and those are kind of games I like to emulate. Yeah.
I thought that was awesome, just hearing from an in-state guy who has always wanted to be a Duck, and you could just hear the smile, right, that he has to be here. I hope that he has a great season, Luke Basso. Meanwhile, the competition continues at punter. One of those guys is Ross James. We got to know him a little bit and how he goes about his business when he talked to the media this week.
Most this offseason to better prepare yourself, make yourself better ahead of this season?
I'd definitely say, working with consistency, learning how to be more, just be more consistent as a punter to help our team. That's just with placement of the football, also, hang time, distance, just kind of being able to do what punters are supposed to do.
How do you go about mentally approaching another competition where it's a different group of guys, different situation? Like you say, you're trying to make yourself better too. So like, how did you mentally prepare for another competition?
Something for me, just going with competition, it definitely makes both parties better. Having someone who's a good competition, so it's good for both parties. Dunny when he first got here, Matt when he got here, those two definitely they've improved since they got here. I think that just goes with competing with every other person that's on the field. So I think it makes everybody better just by having competition. I don't think you can improve, but mentally, it definitely makes it. You see them and you kind of like, hey, I need to step this up or I need to do this, and being able to see what other guys are capable of doing, kind of helps you be able to learn how to do things differently. You see them do something, you're like, hey, I want to try that out, and you try it out, maybe it helps you. So I've been able to kind of tweak some things and work on some stuff that's a little different than last year that's helped me a little bit better.
When those guys arrive, like, what's the process of kind of getting to know them, also having obviously that competition, but as you said, kind of seeing what they can do?
Just kind of getting to know them. When they first get here, we're all together. We're practicing all day. We're hanging out outside of here too. So it's kind of not that hard, especially when the special teams group. There's only about 10 of us, so it's kind of easy to get to know everybody. I feel like that also makes our group a little bit closer. There's not as many of us, so I feel like it makes our group super close, and I feel like it makes it easier to get to know everybody, and everybody kind of gets along. It's little things kind of like that.
What's the off-field process for you guys like? We know defensive players, offensive players spend time watching film and learning schemes and all this. What's it like off the field for you guys?
We still watch film. Now, we definitely don't watch as much as they do, but we don't have as much to watch as they do. We definitely still watch, hey, we have this for practice. All right, as soon as practice is over later tonight, we watch the same film. When they're watching film, we're in the film room watching, maybe it's field goal, maybe it's punt, stuff like that. So we're also breaking down, our film as well, how the defense and offense break down stuff individually for them. We also do the same thing, steps, form, making sure our form is also consistent too.
Coach Laurie was talking about the goals of 4, 5, and 40 for you guys. Just so far through camp, where are you kind of averaging out at?
We're doing very well so far. I don't really want to give too much numbers, but it's definitely been a good competition. I would say it's very close competition between all three of us. It's been very close, so we're going to kind of wait to see what his decision is for that. But I think we've all done a great job. We've all improved also since the spring as well.
Where do you feel you have improved the most?
Consistency. I definitely feel like I'm way more consistent than I was last year. I also feel like, which has helped my charting maybe a little bit through the year. But definitely consistency is something I've gotten a lot better at. Placement of the ball has also improved a lot for me, which I'm also very thankful for.
I appreciated the day where all of us got to talk about the specialists. Ross James talking there, one of the punters for the Ducks who's competing for that job. Matthew Rigney, another who we're going to hear from when we come back. Tobias said you can hear the smile on his face. Amazing color commentary. Yes. Thank you. You know what I'm talking about, though, right? Like, you can usually hear through the speakers when someone's smiling. Also, this was funny. Rick had mentioned, wow, 34 years for Jorgie, and Alex said, hey, Mike, I'm 33. I got to say, I give Jorgie and Jerry a hard time for this. I just turned 30 years old. They have been doing football together longer than I've been alive. I think about this constantly for so many reasons. When we come back, let's hear a little bit from Matthew Rigney. Also, some details on Oregon soccer and Oregon volleyball when we return on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays? The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Zeroing in on the punters, we just heard from Ross James. Now Matthew Rigney, one of a few guys that are competing for that spot. Got to know him a little bit this week, Matthew Rigney.
What was it about Oregon and this opportunity that was appealing to you as somebody who was very good at the level that you were and where you were at? What made this the right situation?
Yeah, I think from the jump, one of the greatest tips I ever got recruiting-wise was go where you're loved and go where you can get coached. And Coach Lorig and Coach Robinson have been all over me ever since I entered the portal. And they presented this opportunity, and they stayed persistent with me as I was exploring options. And coming to a program like this that has such a good, NFL pedigree across the board, I felt like it was a great opportunity for me to, me and the other guys to change how specialists are viewed here and bring it to that elite level again.
Was the initial conversation with you and Lorig in the portal, was it the first time you guys had talked?
Yeah, out of high school, I never really was recruited by Lorig at his previous schools, but so that was the first type of contact I ever had with him. And I saw that Eugene area code on my phone, and I was like, there's no way. But when I picked up that phone, I was sure as glad that I did.
So you knew who Joe Lorig was?
Oh, I definitely did. Yeah, he's produced so many NFL guys, like Gillikin and Jordan Stout, guys I look up to and I model my game after. So I definitely knew him and his pedigree for sure.
How about that? Just the reputation of Coach Lorig, a big reason that a transfer in Matthew Rigney came here. Remember, originally at Austin Peay, now here at Oregon, a lot of guys battling for that punting spot. And it was interesting hearing Joe Lorig last week talk about how they chart the punters. It's actually one thing in the scrimmage tomorrow that I'll be looking at is where they place the ball. That's something that I think will be a determining factor in who wins this punting job. It's not just having that big booming leg, it's the situational punting that can really put you over the top. Second scrimmage for the Ducks coming up tomorrow. We'll have a Quack Minute today after practice this afternoon, and also tomorrow we'll hear from Coach Lanning. Have all that for you on Monday's show. Soccer dropped the opener to Baylor last night. But how about this? More than half of Oregon's 15-player freshman class played on Thursday. A youth movement for Graham Abel's Oregon soccer team. Weekend schedule, Maui Wildfire Relief at Matthew Knight Arena. Against Portland State, Duck volleyball in action, 6 o'clock on Saturday. We'll see you on Monday.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.